I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into the powerful memoir, Immigrant Soldier by J Raunam. This remarkable story follows his journey from war-torn Estonia to a new life in America, where he finds purpose and family through military service. It's a tale of resilience, sacrifice, and one man's enduring search for belonging and family reunion against all odds. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. George, good to see you here today on Spotlight. Thank you for being our guest.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. The story is really 50 years in the making. I started suspecting that I had a family, but because of the Iron Curtain and Tom Estonia, I find family. When the wall came down, I had from the military and I traveled. And that was an amazing trip. 10 years, about 8 overseas trips, but I found my family, and that was the highlight of that. But the most important thing, I think, for me in the book, that people realize immigrants coming to this country are 30 to 99% of them are contributors to what makes the country what it is today. That and that was the purpose of my book. My children kept asking, Grandpa, what about this? Grandpa, what about that? And I finally decided I'll try to write it. And that's what came out.
We're glad you wrote the book because it's an amazing story. What are your earliest memories of Estonia during World War II?
Unfortunately, it's not a pleasant one. It's when a Russian bombed Tallinn in 1944. I was with my grandmother. Mother was at work. Grandma was taking care of me. The bombing happened at night, and grandmother, and I got trapped in the house. The when the second hit, the box that was holding us the house moved, and we were able to escape and went into the backyard.
Hmm.
The biggest thing I remember about that, out of scared, was this tree laying kind of halfway broken, laying on the ground. 50 years later, when I went back there with my children to show them where I had lived, the tree was still there. It was still on its side and still growing. And to me, that indicated the spirit of Estonia. We may be broken, but we'll always come back.
Amazing, amazing. And at one point, you were living in a displaced persons camp. Tell us a little bit about what that was like in your life.
Well, I think that's what sent me on my road to being a military professional. After the war, our camp, Kenton, was in the American zone, thank God, instead of the Russian zone or British or French. The American military treated us as equals.
Hmm.
We were not displaced. We may not have had a home to go to, but we were still human beings. And the respect I learned for the American soldier over private sergeants always made me want to be an American, to be an American soldier. To me, that would be the greatest honor I could have. In 1949, when I was finally able to come to America, went to school, and as soon as I could, I joined the military and stayed in it for 27 years.
Amazing. How old were you when you joined the National Guard?
I was 16. I had to kind of fudge a little because you had to be 17, but I got away with it for a while.
Tell
The
us what it was like coming to America. How did you get to the United States, and what was it like for you and your family?
Well, my family was my mother and I. Everybody else either were killed, uncles and aunts were killed by the Russians or the Germans. And my father, we didn't know what happened to him. Found out later that he was conscripted into the German army. Uh, and he died in 54 before I ever had a chance to meet him.
Hmm.
Uh, the life after DP camps was difficult because I had to learn English. I spoke German, Estonian, Russian, Swedish, no English. That was probably most challenging for me.
Amazing, amazing. And at one part in your life, you served as an aide de camp to General Omar Bradley, correct?
Yes, did that 3 times.
Hmm.
Last time was for 2.5 years in Fort Bliss. Before then is when I was stationed in Washington and working with the White House. Every time he came to Washington, uh, the first time was pure luck that I got picked as his aide. Second time was he requested me, and the third time he just said I got to come work for him, and there was not a discussion on that. That
Tell
was
us what
fabulous.
Tell us
That's
about your
fabulous
efforts to
because,
reconnect to your what were your efforts to reconnect with your family after the Iron Curtain fell? Tell us about those challenges.
well, that was difficult because I had to find a common thread, and the common thread all ran through either St. Petersburg, Russia, or Tallinn, Estonia. And when I finally was able to track down what happened to my father, he was conscripted into the German army. And I started working in the government and to find out what happened to my father. On a wounded 3 times. And when the war ended, he was still alive in the hospital, unfortunately, in the Russian zone. So that became more difficult. But once the Iron Curtain came down, I was able to access some of his records and found out he had gotten remarried because he thought mother and I were killed in Dresden, at the Dresden bombing. And so he remarried and had a daughter and a son. And we tracked them down in 2004. We had a family reunion. People from Russia, Estonia, Germany, and the United States together. It was 36 of us at the family reunion. Uh, Most difficult part for me was I had to introduce everybody. I had to do it in languages that they understood because not everybody spoke English. So I put in Russian, German, and English. And we finally all got on the same page.
Amazing, amazing. I'm glad that reunion happened for you. You've got a big, beautiful family now. You've got children, grandchildren, great grandchildren. You've done quite well here in the United States.
I have, and it's all thanks to the way this country runs. I mean, it, you get what you put into it. You work to carry the rewards, and very blessed, very fortunate that the family that sponsored us, the Everett Adams family in Hinsdale, they looked after the first 5 years we were in this country. So, and the son of the family and I became good friends. Sam Adams is still doing well in Colorado.
Wonderful, wonderful. The name of the book we're talking about today, folks, is called Immigrant Soldier. It's a remarkable story that follows the author's journey from war-torn Estonia to a new life in America where he finds purpose and family through military service. It's a tale of resilience, sacrifice, and one man's enduring search for belonging and family reunion against all odds. It's an incredible story. It's a heartwarming story, and it's a true story, which is just amazing to understand and to realize and to experience the hardship that George and his family endured during this awful chapter in world history. George, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed talking to you as well. I appreciate your time. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.
Thank you.